Good evening to all my beloved friends, and happy Nagara Panchami. Today, we have celebrated Naga Panchami, and of course, I, as a wildlife enthusiast, would always tell people that we need to celebrate this in the right spirit, because our ancestors have given us a wonderful message for conservation by having such festivals. So wish you all a very happy Naga Panchami. Friends, when Mrs. Vani Vasudev asked me about the topic, I took my own time to decide. And finally, I chose this topic, ABCD of life. At the outset, let me tell you, my dear friends, what I'm sharing today is certainly not very new to all of you. It is something that we all of us know. My job is only to sensitize you, to tell you, please know that you know. And once you know that you know, please practice. That's the whole idea behind this presentation, titled ABCD of life. Generally, the goal of life of every individual is to be happy. In pursuit of this happiness, it is very important that we follow certain basic values, the core values in life, which would ultimately lead us to happiness. And that is why I chose ABCD, each letter standing for certain values which we must possess. And once we possess, we practice, I'm sure we will have a wonderful path towards happiness. As usual, friends, I would make my presentation for about 50-55 minutes and then throw this house open for any questions. And I would certainly try my best to answer your questions, if any, at the end of the presentation. Well, friends, when we start with the first alphabet, and I must surely thank and compliment Mr. Vasudev, because he told me that, if we get the fundamentals right, life is right. I borrow this beautiful statement from Mr. Vasudev without any royalty, though. Essentially, when we start with A, I, for one, would always insist that most of the things in our life depends on our attitude. If the attitude is right, everything falls in place. Everything will be wonderful. So we need to have, as Swami Vivekananda says, fundamentally, and even our culture talks about it, he says, attitude of gratitude and hospitality are two wonderful characteristics of our culture, Indian culture. This attitude of gratitude. In fact, I remember one of my teachers telling us, it's a wonderful mantra. If we need to have this attitude of gratitude, we must follow this. He said, when you get, don't forget. When you give, be ready to forgive. What a wonderful saying. And all of us must practice this in our life to be happy. Whenever we get something, whatever it is, we should not forget the person who has given that to us. Maybe financial help or any other form of help other than finance. It could be help in kind. It would be a good guidance, whatever it is. When somebody gives us something in life, we need to be grateful. And that is why we say that is the attitude of gratitude. But at the same time, my professor said, when you give, be ready to forgive. We always say, when you are giving, give with full heart and without expectation. That is what is good giving. And that we need to practice. So this attitude of gratitude is fundamentally essential for all of us. And then, of course, always when people talk about attitude, people talk about being positive or what is called positive attitude, possessing this positive attitude in our life, or the power of positive thinking, and so on. What it means is, if your thoughts are positive, your words are positive, your action will be positive, and the results will certainly be positive. And that is why Swami Vivekananda says, you are what you think. You think positively about yourself, you are positive. You think negatively about yourself and you become negative. You end up being negative. This is what is important. And when we say positive attitude, it doesn't mean that I believe that everything good happens to me. I believe that whatever I attempt, I will be successful. No. We need to understand this very clearly. Positive attitude is something where I am prepared to take even the worst with some positives in it. That is what is an absolute positive attitude. Something happens to me, I take it, but I try to find something good in it. Something good which emerges out of it. And that is what is being positive. In fact, our ancestors also have talked about what is called serenity mantra. Serenity mantra is you must pray God to give you that will to change what you can, and the courage to accept what you cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that is fundamentally essential if you want to be positive. Let us pray for that willpower, atmasthirya, to change whatever I can change. And at the same time, let me also have the courage to accept what I cannot change. This is very, very important in life. And then, of course, the wisdom to know the difference between the two. When I say positive attitude, it reminds me of an incident which happened in my life, and I would like to share that with you. One of my senior colleagues, his son was in America, and my colleague's wife was looking for a match for his son, and she had shortlisted a few girls in Bangalore, and she had told him that when he comes to Bangalore, he would see all the girls and then finally select one of them. She was very, very optimistic. She was very happy that his son is very shortly visiting India and he would choose his partner. But suddenly, after 2-3 days, they get a mail. The son would have sent a mail saying, "Dear Papa and Mama, I have chosen a girl and I am marrying her tomorrow in the church in America." So he has already very clearly communicated that he is marrying her. He had not asked for the opinion or advice, nothing. He only informed the parents saying that I'm marrying her this coming Sunday in the church. And very next day, I happened to visit them. I rang the doorbell. My colleague's wife opened the door. She did not even wish me. Normally, a very hospitable lady, very courteous lady, she would always welcome with a smile on her face. I can never forget that smiling face. But that day, she was not smiling. She did not even wish me. She just opened the doors and went away. After a few seconds, my colleague walked in, and he, as usual, wished me and said, "Come." We sat. And then I asked my colleague, "Sir, there seems to be some problem. I don't find your wife to be normal. Is there any problem? Is there anything that I can do?" He said, "No, relax, sit down, don't worry. I will tell you. There is nothing to hide. I will tell you." He sat and told me, "Raghottama, my son has sent a mail just 2 days ago saying that he will be marrying an American girl in the church on this Sunday. My wife is highly upset because she had chosen a few girls, shortlisted them. She wanted our son to come and select one. She had a lot of dreams, but unfortunately, all the dreams are shattered. So naturally, she's in pain, and that's why, she is not normal. And then I asked him, "Sir, you look very normal. How is this?" He said, "Raghottama, you always tell me that, we must have a positive attitude in life. I have taken it very positively for two reasons. One, he has already decided, he has communicated that he is marrying the girl coming Sunday in the church. There is very little thing that we can do, perhaps nothing that we can do. And second, you always tell us that we should look for something positive in it, and I have looked something positive, and that makes me quite comfortable." I asked him, "What is that, sir?" He said, "Look, Raghottama, he has at least told me that he married a girl in America. I am happy because he is marrying a girl in America. He has not chosen anybody else." This is what is being positive. All of us face ups and downs in our life. And when something happens like this, we must try to find something positive in it. That is what is real positive attitude. It is not, when the sailing goes smooth, you're happy. No, that is very mundane thing. When the sailing goes rough, you must find solace. You must find something positive with it. And that is what is very important. And I should also share one thing that my professor had told us in the class. Once he wrote on the blackboard, "What cannot be cured has to be dash." We were all very eager to complete that idiom. And we shouted, "What cannot be cured has to be endured." With a smile, he said, "That's a very old adage in English. You must make a correction. Know the new adage." And in that blank, he wrote, "What cannot be cured has to be enjoyed." It is not enduring. If you say enduring, people would end up saying, "What can I do? That is my karma." No. You must learn to enjoy that once you know that you cannot cure it. That is what is being positive. Let me share one of my experiences, my own. I am short. I am not very tall. I wanted to be like Amitabh Bachchan is a different story, but I did not become like Amitabh Bachchan. I am short. And one day I realized that there is very little that I can do. At the most, I can wear high-heeled shoes to gain about an inch or two in my height when I wear my shoes, not otherwise. But I decided, let me accept it. Nothing wrong. We must always count our blessings. God has given us so many things, and we should look at it, not keep on cribbing about something that we don't have. So I accepted it. And let me tell you what happened. I used to go to my uncle's place in Mysore, Krishnamurtipura, and my uncle used to give all of us, me and my siblings and our cousins, all of us are almost the same age, maybe about 2-3 years younger or older, about 8-10 of us. He would give us 25 paise as pocket money on a Sunday. And sometimes we used to visit the Mysore Zoo, the famous Jaichamarajendra Zoological Park in Mysore. And there was a wicket gate at the entrance. And the rule was, anyone who walks under that without the head touching the bar, entry free. I was the only one in the group who would walk under that bar right royally without paying anything for entry. And my cousins would spend about 10 to 15 paise. That was the rate for children. They would spend that, but I would keep 25 paise in my pocket. I would have more purchasing power. So all of them would look at me. When we decide to buy groundnut or something like that, they would say, "You have more money, contribute." So I used to feel so happy because they all used to come to me. That is what is very important. What cannot be cured has to be enjoyed. Let's not stop at enduring it. Let's go beyond that. Enjoy. This is very, very vital when we talk of positive attitude. Another attitude which is very important is attitude to appreciate people. Let us not be stingy in appreciation. When you need to appreciate with open hearts, heartfelt appreciation. Don't be stingy, as I was telling you. In fact, if you want to complain, you must think twice, you must think thrice. But when you want to appreciate openly. That's a golden rule. Appreciate openly, correct secretly. When you want to correct somebody, don't do that in public. In private, you need to correct people. But when you appreciate openly. That would enhance their self-esteem. They feel so happy about it. And in turn, you also get that happiness. So let us appreciate, let us not become complainers. Today, in this world, we come across a lot of people who keep complaining. Let us learn to appreciate something good in it. And that is very, we must. Essentially, it is said, people want to see appreciation of all their assets, whether your investments or your real estate or your gold. You will be very happy to find appreciated value. But seldom we appreciate our own people. One word of appreciation, one pat on the back and say, wonderful, I'm proud of you, I'm very happy. A lot of changes we will find in the society. So let's have this attitude of appreciating and complaining little less, or when you want to complain, I will tell you a little later how to complain. So essentially, it is all about appreciation. And then acceptance. Attitude of acceptance. Whatever comes your way, you can't choose. We believe in destiny. And when something happens to me, without worrying, without cribbing, without complaining, let me accept it and think of the possible solutions. We must learn to accept and show our attitude, that positive attitude. A small girl went to the school announcing at home to its mother. She said, Mommy, today we have drama selection in the school and I am also participating. I have also enrolled. The mother knew that the child was not very good in histrionics. But then she said, all the best. So please go. God bless you. And she dropped the child at the school and came back. Evening, when she goes to the school to fetch the child back, the child is happily running towards the mother with open arms and saying, Mommy, I have been selected. Mother is so happy. She thought for a while I was totally negative because I did not know the true value of my child's ability, talents. I thought she will not be selected. So she had tears in her eyes. She hugged the baby, planted a kiss, and then asked the child, wonderful, congratulations, that's so nice. What is your role? And the child with beautiful smile on the face immediately said, Mommy, to clap and cheer. Look at that attitude. She has not been selected as a participant in the drama. She has been selected to be one among the audience, but the child is so happy and says, I have been selected to clap and cheer. That is acceptance. I should not crib. I should not complain. I should not say, no, Mommy, they were very prejudiced. They did not select me and all that. The child was so happy, accepted it. That is the way we need to. That is why I always tell people, let's have the child in us alive. All of us have a child in us. The child which is so pure, which is so innocent, which is so imaginative, full of intuition. And that is what is required for all of us. So let's keep the child in us very, very alive in order to be happy, in order to have that wonderful attitude of being positive and attitude of gratitude, not complaining, accepting things as they come to us. This is fundamentally essential. Friends, normally what happens is our expectations are too high. When your expectations are too high, invariably you get disappointed. So let's accept. I tell parents, accept your children as they are. If they prove to be very good to you, it's a bonus. By any chance, they are out of India, they don't want to come back, you will have no other choice. You will be disappointed. You start complaining. Let us stop this. Let us accept. We have done our part, and let the rest be left to God. And we accept whatever His verdict is. That must be the attitude. One of my friends once told me, Raghottama, we must take care of our children carefully. We must provide everything to our children, love them, give them everything, because when we become old, they are the people who are deciding which old age home we must be placed. That is what he said, in lighter vein, of course. Prepare to accept. Your disappointment level will be very, very minimum, or perhaps there is no disappointment at all. This is what we need to understand. Then moving on to the next alphabet, B. Swami Vivekananda says, all of us must be bold. We must be courageous to face life. If you are bold enough, that is why, our ancestors say, Dhairyam sarvatra sadhanam. You will have to face everything very boldly. There is no question of running away. And that is why it is said, if you are not bold, fear grips you at every moment of your life. And that would lead you to depression. So let us be bold enough to accept. Let us have that courage. Let's not give room for fear. When we talk about fear, there are two essential things. One is negative. The other one is positive. The word fear, F-E-A-R. The negative connotation says, forget everything and run. We call that as flight in psychology. Forget everything and run. The positive side of it says, face everything and rise. That is what is very, very important. And if you are bold, you're courageous, you will face everything, come out of it more stronger. That is why it is said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So we need to be bold. From the life of Swami Vivekananda, most of you must have heard, some of you must have read, what happened to him when he was in Varanasi. Once he was walking towards a temple and suddenly monkeys, the North Indian langur monkeys, they are very big monkeys. They started chasing him and he started running. Suddenly he heard a voice of a sadhu who said, stop, don't run, look back and stare at them. He immediately stood firm, looked back, stared at the monkeys, and the monkeys ran away. This is what happened to Swami Vivekananda. It happens to most of us. But unfortunately, we take the negative connotation of fear, forget everything and run. That is flight. We don't take the fight mode. The fight mode says face everything and rise. That is what we need to do. So we need to be bold. We need to face, come out stronger. And this will certainly help us to refine our personality and move towards happiness. And only when we have this, it will be easy for us to work on that. And then, friends, we say, we must have this attitude of being balanced. Being balanced is being fair, being unprejudiced, accepting both bouquets and brickbats with the same amount of happiness. But unfortunately, most of us are very eager to accept bouquets, but when we receive brickbats, we are not ready to accept. We try to shift the blame, the blame game starts. Passing the buck will start. Instead, let's take the responsibility on our shoulders. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Take the responsibility on your shoulders. Accept it. Face it. And this is what is very important for us. And if we can do, we will be very balanced. Samachitta. Once you have this samachitta, you are ready to receive as it comes to you. As I was telling you, accept. To accept that, you must have this samachitta. I must be balanced. I must continue to be balanced. Let me not, there is a saying in Kannada, Araki erbardu, muraki ilibardu. So that is what it means. I must always be balanced in my approach. I must be fair in my approach. I must be fair in all my dealings. And if I am fair, if I am not prejudiced, my relationship with people will certainly be wonderful. This is what we need to practice. And one more thing is, friends, we must develop that belongingness, that sense of belonging. I am very sorry to tell you, friends, outside India, of course, now the perception about Indians has changed a lot. I'm very happy about it. I'm proud about it. It has changed considerably. But still, people talk about one particular quality. They say Indians are very good individually. Collectively, they are not as effective as any other country people are. This is where we need to make some small corrections. That sense of belonging. I belong to my family. I belong to my community. I belong to my team. I belong to my country, and so on. I belong. Man is a social animal. We must have this attitude of being one with people. And if I am one with people, once again, our relationship will be nice and we will certainly be happy because it gives a lot of pleasure for us when we are in good company, satsanga. So that sense of belonging, how does it work? It reminds me of a story, friends. Once, a sadhu came to a small village and he was in the center of the small lane. He sat there and from his bag, he took out a small stone and announced to the passers-by and said, I have a stone, a special stone which has been gifted to me by God. God has given me this. This can make wonderful soup. And this is called soup stone. Not soapstone, soup stone. And people were very eager to know, what is this soup stone? He said, I can demonstrate that this can make wonderful soup for all of you. By then, about half a dozen people had gathered. And observing this, some more people joined. There were about 20, 30 people. And he said, I can make wonderful soup out of this stone. Tasty, very nourishing soup for all of you. And people were very, very, very eager to know. He said, look, I only need a stove to heat this particular vessel. He had a vessel in his hand. He said, I want a stove. Somebody went running, brought a stove, lighted it. And before placing this vessel on the stove, he said, I need some water. Somebody ran once again, brought some water. He poured water into that vessel, kept it on the stove, put the stone in the water. When it started boiling, he had a spoon in his bag. He took out the spoon, took one spoonful of that boiling water, put on his hands, drank it, and said, "A wonderful soup. Wonderful soup." But only thing is, if I were to have some vegetables, it would have been excellent. Suddenly, some people, they went running, brought some vegetables. He put all the cut vegetables in the vessel. It started boiling. He once again took a spoonful of that liquid, tasted, and said, "Excellent. I'm sure you will not have tasted such wonderful, such beautiful, such tasty soup in your lifetime. But only thing is, I need some salt and pepper." Suddenly, somebody once again ran, brought salt, pepper. He added, and it was boiling. After 5-10 minutes, he took out the vessel, a big vessel, took a spoonful of that soup, tasted it, and said, "Look, as I had promised you, I am leaving this vessel of soup to all of you. You must share this, enjoy this soup. Very tasty, very nourishing. As I told you, you will not have tasted such wonderful soup." Left it. He did not even take that stone back. He offered his pranams and he started walking away. And all the people, they decided to share. So somebody went running, brought some small cups, and all of them poured the soup into their cups, tasted. It was very tasty, very nourishing. And they all started praising that sadhu and said, "What a wonderful stone he has given to us." And one old man among them said, "Well, he has not given you an ordinary stone. He has given you a gem. A gem. It is not ordinary." The moment he said, people said, "I will take the stone." He said, "Don't bother about it. Think about this. The stone is just an ordinary stone. But the message that he has conveyed through the stone to all of you is the real gem, not the stone." And he said, "Look, he taught you that if all of you can work as a small community, each one contributing something to make this wonderful, make this very nourishing, very tasty. That is what is the change that we need in our attitude. That sense of belonging. I belong to this community. I belong to this team. I belong to this country. That is the attitude which was taught by this sadhu with the help of a small stone. And the stone was an ordinary stone. So friends, this is what is very important for all of us, that belongingness. If I feel I don't belong to this community, I will not discharge my duties diligently. I will not be happy. When I am not happy, I will not make you happy. So that belongingness is something which is fundamentally important for all of us. Moving on to the next, that is C, friends, most important. Maybe, we will have talked about it in some other context. I don't know whether I have myself shared some of this with you when I had a session in Kannada on mind and happiness or something like that. I vaguely remember. It may be a repetition, and please forgive me for this. But it is very important. See, the first most important value is being calm. We must learn to be calm. Once again, if you have samachita, you will always be calm. You will learn to be calm. When I say be calm, it's not the degree, academic degree. We must learn to be calm. If I am calm, the advantage that I have or we have is our brain will work effectively. Moment you become emotional, if you're not calm, you're disturbed, the immediate negative emotion which takes over is anger. Immediate negative emotion which takes over, anger. If you're calm, your brain is working, your head is working. If you're angry, or if you're afraid, or if you're nervous, your heart is working much more than the head. So whatever we say, whatever we decide, whatever we do will not be correct invariably. Every rule has an exception. There could be an exception, but by and large, we will not make sound decisions. We will not communicate properly. We end up creating problems. We end up aggregating. That is why we say, learn to be calm. And that is the most important value. If you're calm, the advantage is all your other faculties are under your control. That is why it is said, if you're angry for a minute, you lose happiness for 60 seconds. And remember this. So if I am calm, the advantage is, friends, I can think coolly. If I am cool in my thinking, I will find a solution. I will not get entangled in the solution. I will find a solution. This is what is very important. Some of you must have heard this, a very famous incident, and that has become a very popular anecdote. You know that one doctor, cardiologist by name Christian Barnard from South Africa, he was the first doctor to perform open heart surgery from South Africa. When Christian Barnard did this open heart surgery and became a popular cardiologist throughout the world, lot of doctors started inviting him for a lecture on the topic open heart surgery. And he started visiting so many places. One day, after about a year or year and a half, his car driver told him, "Sir, wherever you go, your talk is the same. I know your talk verbatim by heart. I know from A to Z, I can reproduce. Give me an opportunity. Let me also talk." And Christian Barnard said, "My dear fellow, people know me. How can I give you a chance to tell you as Christian Barnard?" To his luck, they received a mail from a small town which said, "Doctor, we have not seen you. We want you to address our doctors, address our association of doctors." And Christian Barnard thought that this is the right occasion. He told the driver, "Look, now you have a golden opportunity. We swap our roles. You go as Christian Barnard, I would come as a driver." So they went. Driver was introduced as Christian Barnard, and Christian Barnard was sitting in the last row as the driver. He gave a wonderful talk for 1 hour. Same thing as Dr. Christian Barnard was delivering. At the end of the talk, there was standing ovation for almost 2-3 minutes. All the doctors stood up, started clapping, and said, "Wonderful." And as usual, question answer, same questions. And this driver knew the answers, the same questions. But suddenly, one new question arose. He did not know the answer, but he did not panic. That's what is very important. He kept his calm. He was cool. He said, "My dear doctors, this is too simple a question. Even my car driver can answer." Saying that, he said, "Please come." And the car driver, he was Christian Barnard, in disguise as a car driver. He comes to the rostrum and answers the question. Doctors are really so happy, astonished. They could not believe themselves. They said, Dr. Christian Bernard speaks so very well. We know, we appreciate, but his driver is equally good. This is what is presence of mind. If you have presence of mind, you can come out of any tricky situation, and to have that presence of mind, I must keep cool. I must be calm. I must think of a way out. And that is why I said, otherwise you get yourself entangled in the problem and you can't come out of it. It becomes a chakravyuha. To come out of it, maintain that calmness. And that is what is very important. And once again, let me share my own experience. And if I've shared it earlier and it's a repetition, please forgive me, because I don't remember that. I thought I must share this with you when I talk about calmness. When I was in school and college, I used to be part of the dramatics troupe. In school, when we were preparing for the annual school day, my madam has prepared us so very well, and she had told me, because I was the first one to go on to the dais as the curtains opened. I was to go on the dais, and she had told me I would have marked a chalk circle. You stand in the circle, look at the bright light, focus light for a few seconds, and then give out your dialogue. D-Day, auditorium is overflowing with students, teachers, parents, and other invitees, overflowing. Curtains opened, and I went as usual, stood in the circle, chalk circle, looked at the bright light as my madam had told me. After a few seconds, I look at the audience. I could not see anyone because of the bright light. My vision had blurred and I was not able to see anyone. I was so happy. I was so confident because I have no fear. I don't see anyone there in front of me. So I gave out my dialogue. No sooner I said this, my vision had become normal and I see audience laughing wholeheartedly. Some of them are out of their seats. Some of them are holding their stomach. You know what had happened? My friend, it was a play called Kinnara Loka. The title is Kinnara Loka. He was to come on the dais with a silver flute in his hand, and my opening dialogue was, looking at him, I would say, "What is that so shiny in your hands?" Unfortunately, my friend has come on the dais holding his hands like this without the silver flute in his hand. People are enjoying these laughs. They're laughing. Looking at them, my tongue went dry. I forgot my dialogues. I look at the side wings and my madam is gesticulating. That made me very nervous. But my friend, who was very calm, who did not panic, holding his hands like this throughout, he comes to the center of the dais and looking at all the people who are still laughing, he says, "I have a silver flute which cannot be seen by common people." Look at it, moment he said, everyone settled down and there was no laughter in the auditorium. Everyone sat quietly, but unfortunately, I had forgotten my dialogues. Friends, my friend comes to me and tells me, "Raghottama, don't worry. I will ask you questions. You answer. We will end up the scene 1. So he posed some questions. I answered, and scene 1 is complete. Curtains closed. I run across. Actually, ran to the green room, had a glass of water. I opened my dialogue books. Once again, he comes and says, "Don't worry, Raghottama, I am with you." Look at his confidence. That was basically because he could think of the solution because he was calm. On the other hand, I was nervous. I told you, my tongue went dry, absolutely dry. I was even shivering. That is because fear had gripped me, whereas my friend was calm. That is what is very important. Come what may, let me face. As I told you, we must face, we must accept. Let me accept this. Let me be calm. Let us have that samachitta. People talk about anger management. Easier said than done. I know. But yet, we must attempt, we must practice. Continuous practice will certainly help you overcome this. And today people say, if you are angry with your subordinate, or with your junior, somebody who is younger, count up to 15, 1 5. If you are angry with someone who is of equal rank, who is with you on the same rank, count up to 30. If you are angry with your superior at home or office, somebody who is above you, aged more than you, count up to 45. And by any chance, if it is your wife, they say keep counting, don't stop at all. And by any chance, if it is your husband, don't count at all. This is what is said in right way. But friends, we must overcome this anger, because it is said anger and danger is just one letter short. That one D is added, your anger becomes danger. So we will have to have control over ourselves, and we should know what stimulates us, what triggers us. And if we don't get angry, another advantage, friends, is you can learn to insulate yourselves. So you are not offended. You don't take it very seriously. You know what to take, what to reject. And you know how to take it. As I was telling you, bouquets and brickbats. With that samachita, you are ready to take it. You analyze. If you feel it is necessary, keep it. Otherwise, throw it. So this is fundamentally essential for all of us. And we need to practice this. So let us be calm. Let us learn to be calm. Let us not get irritated. More irritated you are, people will irritate you. You get triggered easily, people trigger you. And we should insulate ourselves. And the second C, friends, which is very vital, very, very important in our lives, in order to have wonderful relationship, in order to have wonderful performance, to achieve, to accomplish our goals, it is very, very important. And that is being communicative. Communication is the root cause of many problems that we see today in our society, in our homes. It is not because of anything else. It is because of wrong communication or no communication. These two are very dangerous. And when you communicate, please remember, you must keep your mind open. Do not communicate with any prejudice, any bias. You must be balanced, as I told you earlier. And this will certainly make our relationship wonderful. Why is this so important? First of all, when we talk of communication, friends, many people think that, communication is talking. Communication is writing. Communication is gesticulating, gestures. No. According to psychologists, communication starts with good listening. If you are a good listener, you will be a good communicator. Learn to listen well. That is why it is said, a wonderful mantra. I want all of you to remember this and practice. My request to all of you, it says, listen to understand, and then to be understood. So essentially, I must listen to people. Don't try to talk. When somebody is talking, I have no business to interfere. That's one of the golden rules which our ancestors have said. That is why they said, in Kannada, Matu ballavaniಗೆ ಜಗಳವಿಲ್ಲ. So essentially, I must become a good listener. Unfortunately, majority of us, we think communication is talking, communication is writing, communication is gesticulating. No, let's change this. Let's have a paradigm shift. It is all about listening. Let us listen. A lot of parents, when I have a session for parents, they complain and they tell me, we have a lot of problem dealing with our children. And I ask them why. Invariably, they would tell me that is because of generation gap. And friends, let me tell you, I, for one, don't believe in this generation gap at all. I'm sure all of you will agree with me. I'm sure you will agree with me. I will tell you one thing which is universally true. Grandchildren and grandparents gel well. Why? If there is something called generation gap, grandparents are one generation older than the parents, right? But how is that? Grandparents and grandchildren gel well. Somebody the other day when I was having a session, they, in light rain, of course, they said, they gel well because grandchildren, grandparents, they're so happy because, and they gel well because they have common enemies in parents. Of course, it's in light rain. Friends, let me tell you, it has nothing to do with generation. It is only because we don't communicate effectively with our children, or as I told you, we don't listen to them attentively, actively, positively. We listen to them with a lot of prejudice. Let's avoid this. Understand the feeling behind it, not just the meaning. One psychologist says, friends, it's very, very important for all of us to practice this in life. He says, God has given us 2 years to listen and 1 mouth to speak. That is because you have to take the meaning from one ear and the feeling from the other ear. This is what is very important for us. It's not just the meaning that I take. I must take the feeling associated with the meaning of the word my child is saying. That is fundamentally essential for all of us. So let's listen attentively. Let us listen positively, completely, not partially. And only then, we can communicate effectively. I said, you must speak, you must listen, you must share, you must take everything. Communication is not one way. It has to be multi-directional. Downwards, upwards, sidewards, and so on. And when we talk of communication, please be careful about the choice of words. One wrong word in a particular context may spoil your relationship. That is why it is said, communication can make or mar relationships. We must be very careful about it. It's not just about talking. Sometimes, friends, it is said, silence is the answer. That is why there is a wonderful saying in Kannada. Maatu belli, mauna bangara. When you talk, it is like silver, but when you keep quiet, when you are silent, it's like gold. I must know when to speak, when to be silent. I must have that maturity, that viveka, that discretion to know when to speak, when not to speak. It reminds me of an incident which happened in America. A family was traveling in a car, husband, wife, and the wife's mother and father, the husband's in-laws. Husband and wife are seated in the front row, and at the rear, father-in-law, mother-in-law. The man is driving. And suddenly, a police constable waves for the vehicle to stop. This man stops the car. The cop comes near the window, and the man driving is on to the left. The cop is on the right. So the lady unwinds the glass pane of the window, and the police has not asked anything, no questions. But the wife says to her husband, I told you that you should not drive after taking liquor. Drunken driving, the cop listed first offense. He had not asked anything, but she said to her husband, I told you, you should not drive when you're drunk. So first charge, drunken driving. Immediately, the mother-in-law behind, she said, son-in-law, I told you, you should not drive the vehicle without a license. Police had not asked anything. She said, so second charge, driving without a license, valid license. And the father-in-law should have kept quiet. He said, son-in-law, I told you, we can't go too far in a stolen car. And the constable charged for the third charge. Car stolen, driving a stolen car, 3 charges. And no one knew why the police stopped the vehicle. So sometimes, friends, in life, this is a lesson for us. Sometimes we have to be silent. Let's have the discretion of deciding when to be silent, when to talk. But we must keep the channels of communication open. As I was telling you, today, I see among a lot of youngsters, there is small, very trivial issue that is blown out of proportion. Married couple, they come for counseling. They want a divorce. Why? I tell you, most of the times, it's a very, very trivial issue. And the problem is, they would not have communicated. They don't sit across and discuss, across the table, sit and discuss. I have some grounds against you, let me tell you. I have something against you, let me tell you. Why don't we talk to each other? People don't do that. A couple had quarreled, and they stopped talking, and the chit business started. The wife will write something on the chit, the husband will answer, or they paste it on the fridge. She would write a note, breakfast is ready on the table, and paste it on the fridge, and she would go to the office. The husband below that would write, who would eat this rotten food? Paste it on the fridge, go. Like this, it went on for some time. One day, this man had to catch a very early flight, so he wrote a note to his wife. He said, I need to catch a flight at 7 in the morning. Please wake me up at 4 in the morning. Pasted it on the fridge. When he woke up, it was already 6:30. He became so wild. He started shouting at his wife. He had not spoken to her for a very long time, but he started shouting. Said, idiot, I have missed my flight. I had a very important meeting. You did not wake me up. You are very irresponsible and all that. She said, don't shout. Don't think that I am irresponsible. You are irresponsible. Go and see the chit. You pasted. Wake me up at 4, right? I also wrote, it is 4 o'clock. Please get up. So friends, this will not work in life. We must keep our channels of communication open. Come what may. Even if we want to quarrel, let's find out the reason. Why are we quarreling? What's the reason? Let me very clearly communicate to my spouse. And she may also have to say something to me. Let her open up. Most of the problems are solved. So this is fundamentally essential for us to keep this communication channel open. And friends, what happens? Generally, when we talk to each other, we take people for granted. I would always request people and say, please don't commit that mistake. Let us not take our people for granted. They have equal right. As I said, we need to talk to our children carefully. They have a say. And sometimes, they give wonderful feedback. They would suggest a way out. Should I not talk to them? It is mandatory that we talk to every stakeholder, whether it's in a family or an office or a team, whatever it is, we need to talk to them. And this is very, very important. Essentially, friends, once we start doing it, problems get solved automatically. And another one, the next C is care and share. Please, friends, you must start caring for people around you. And when you care, obviously you're ready to share. When you care for people, you feel happy because, as I was telling you, you have a responsibility towards the society, towards your family members, towards the state, the country, and so on. We have to care for everyone. And that is what is very important. I'm sure told you when I had a talk in Kannada, Sarva Bhuta Daya Pushpam is what is very important when we offer flowers to the God. Sarva Bhuta Daya. Every creature I must care for. It's not just the people around me. It could be a plant, it could be an animal, it could be my fellow beings. This attitude of caring makes the other person so comfortable. I have seen this out of India, friends. If you're sitting alone for some time, lot of people would come to you and ask you, "Hi, is everything fine? Do you need something?" This attitude of finding out, not expecting people to seek help, this makes a lot of difference. Don't wait till somebody comes seeking help. If you know that somebody is in problem, they need help, you voluntarily offer it. That is what is real caring. And sharing is, whatever you can share. Our people say, tanu, mana, dhana, anything for that matter. Even a piece of advice, showing a path to a person, small things in life will give you rich dividends. Of course, you should not expect when you are caring and sharing with people. You must always think that it is your fundamental duty. That is what Swami Vivekananda says. Don't try to give something thinking that you are at an elevated place or on a higher plane. No. You must thank the person who is seeking help because he has given you an opportunity to help. That must be the attitude. So we need to care and share for people. And once you start doing it, or once we start doing it, friends, the quality of life becomes wonderful. It increases many folds without any expectation. And this is what is absolute must for all of us. And finally, coming to the deep part of life, the alphabet D, essentially, friends, discipline is so very important for all of us. If I know that I have my session at 6:30, I must be ready at 6:25. I keep visiting different services staff college at Wellington in Ooty, near Ooty. And in that staff college, everything is so disciplined. Everything goes according to protocol. Every time I go, they demonstrate. Look at the beauty of it. They will not take things for granted. Every time I go, they demonstrate. They would tell me, 10 o'clock the session starts. 9:55, we are at the main entrance of the auditorium. If I go with my wife, My wife will enter the auditorium first. She must be seated first. When she is seated, the commandant's wife will take the seat. Look at that culture. It is not merely something to show off. They practice it. I'm so very happy about it. Anything that you do in the academy, ladies first. It is not the commandant who would enter first, his wife will enter first. It is my wife entering first and then me. And then they tell me, 9:55, your wife enters, commandant's wife is already there, your wife sits, she sits, and then we take you inside. You are seated, and exactly at 10, with the announcement, the session starts. And I have 1.5 hour session. I will have to complete by 11:15. 11:15 to 11:30 is interaction session. But by any chance there are no questions, I can continue for 10 more minutes. Everything is monitored. And you look at the discipline, you feel so very happy. That has become inbuilt in all of them. And that is why we always talk about self-discipline. It is not something which is imposed. Self-discipline. Whenever we talk about discipline, or whenever I talk about discipline, I always remember Sir M. Vishweshwaraya for his discipline. And I'm very proud because my father had worked with him. My father used to share a lot of anecdotes, lot of experiences. Once it seems, Nalvadi Krishnarajendra Vadiyar, the visionary Maharaja of Mysore Samsthana, Mysore province. He is called visionary because he was instrumental in doing a lot of good to the citizens of Mysore, the then Mysore. He was very visionary, a very great visionary, missionary. And he had chosen his people, including Sir M. Vishweshwaraya, to be the Diwan of Mysore. One day, Sir M. Vishweshwaraya had a perfect time for everything, and he would be ready at 9:30 in the morning. From 9:30 to 10 would be the visitor's time in his home office. One day, Nalvadi Krishnarajendra Vadiyar goes around 9:15 to Sir M.V.'s house. Look at it. He was the king, but he would come to the Diwan's house. No ego. He would come at 9:15. Servant gives a message to Sir M. Vishweshwaraya, says, Sir, Maharaja is already there in the room. Sir M.V. looks at his watch and says, it is only 9:15. Provide him a cup of tea, newspaper, and make sure that he is comfortable in the office. I will come at 9:30. And on the dot 9:30, Sir M. Vishweshwaraya enters the room, greeting Maharaja, showing that courtesy. And Maharaja in lighter vein asks Sir M. Vishweshwaraya, I think you got the message from your servant that I was here at 9:15. And Sir M. Vishweshwaraya with a smile says, yes, I did get that information from the servant. But my time is 9:30 in the office. He would not care even for the Maharaja, and that was something extraordinary. And one thing that he used to say, friends, remember this, he would never meet anyone without his full robe, with his full attire, full suit, with his boot, with the tie, with the turban. He would not meet anyone. Most of us, when somebody comes, we would present ourselves as we are. In a dhoti, or at times, I see a lot of people in their shorts, in their banyan, whatever it is, just come. But he would never come. And when somebody asked him, he said, no, it's not because I want to look good. I want to look beautiful. No, I know that I'm not handsome. I do not even have that physique. But this is the respect I give for others. Unless I'm totally dressed, I will not meet. Because I respect that individual. Look at this. That is culture. That is self-discipline. And that is what is very, very important. We must have a protocol for ourselves. I can't present myself the way I am. This is very important because, our ancestors in Kannada said, Uta tanna iche, nota parariche. I dress not for myself, for others. To me, I respect. I cannot shabbily dress. I cannot dress the way I want because there is what is called appropriate dressing for every occasion. And that is very important. And that is what is self-discipline. And today when people talk about discipline, we talk about imposed discipline. No, that will not stay with you because you have no integrity. You have no conviction. Only when we have conviction, we have this, not otherwise. That conviction makes you follow this. Otherwise, it once again reminds me of an incident which happened in my life. I would share that with you and perhaps end. Once I was traveling, in my car, and I found a boy on his new generation bike speeding, and he jumped the signal. I stopped because it was red, and he jumped. He went zooming, and in the next island, police constable had caught him, had made him stop. It was red. I stopped. And out of curiosity, I was hearing the conversation. The constable asked him, "Are you aware of the signal?" The boy sitting on the bike, he said, "I know, sir." And the constable asked him, "What is red?" "Stop, sir." "What is amber?" "Start, sir." "What is green?" "Go, sir." "You know?" "I know." "What was the color in the previous junction?" "Red, sir." "What you should have done?" "Stop, sir." "Why you did not stop?" "Because I did not see you, sir." Look at this. I don't see a police constable, I will not stop. Irrespective of the color of the signal. I don't stop because I look around and I don't find any cop there, I go. That is not self-discipline. And in the other countries, and let me tell you, friends, not only other countries, I have traveled in the northeastern states. I must share this with you. Northeastern states is an example for all other states in India. They are so disciplined. You can see lines of vehicles stopped on one side, the other side. I remember very distinctly Anand Mahindra, chairman of Mahindra and Mahindra company, sharing a photograph of such beautiful discipline on the street at Mizoram in Northeast, saying, "Hats off to my own countrymen in Mizoram." They don't honk horns unnecessarily. They don't go in one way. That is what is self-discipline. It's not about police. It's not about somebody standing with a stick or whatever it is. Self-discipline would give us so much of happiness because I always feel proud and straight, upright, because I have not violated any rule. That is very essential. So, friends, with some of these basics of ABCD in our life, I'm sure the quality of our life will improve. We will be happy. We make others happy. And then, what else do we need? If I can make others happy, I am once again happy because I get back what I gave. I spread happiness, I get back happiness. I spread peace, I get back peace. That is the universal rule. And let us practice this. Make this place a wonderful place for all of us to live and lead a very happy, contented life. That's fundamentally essential. So let me wish you all the very best. May God bless all of us. Thank you very much for staying. Thank you.